Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our class today. I just wanted to take a look at this picture, okay? We have here a conversation. I didn't particularly like the other paintings, but this one is quite good. Yes, the colors are rather nice, but I don't quite understand what the artist is trying to say. It's confusing me a little. So notice that here we are in a given way modifying other words, that is using qualifiers. We have here, for instance, quite good. It's not only good, it's quite good, okay? And in this one, quite understand, okay? I don't quite understand. Or in this one, rather nice. So notice that there are some words that we use to modify the meaning of other words, mainly nouns, verbs, or adjectives. In certain cases, adverbs as well. But those words could be qualifiers, or we could also have intensifiers as, let's say, words to modify those words. That is, adjectives, nouns, and mainly verbs. In this case, we say, it's quite cold. It's quite cold today. Don't you think? But this man who does not live on the pole, okay, he is saying, quite cold? No, it's absolutely freezing. So notice the difference. In this case, we mean that it's not only quite cold, it's more than that. It's absolutely freezing. So in the first case, we were, let's say, soften the meaning of the words. We are modifying. And in this case, we are, in a way, well, improving the meaning of that or those words. In that case, we are providing emphasis to those words, okay? So that's precisely what we have for today. And I just want you to focus attention on today's, let's say, grammar. So I'm here and I am going to, let's say, share with you my presentation for unit number 3, in which, as you have seen, we are going to focus attention on qualifiers and intensifiers. Let's see right now the presentation. We can see it here, and you may start analyzing what we have for unit number 3. You may open your books and start in section A and B, studying these two, let's say, elements of grammar. So we have qualifiers and intensifying adverbs. And let us analyze one by one. First, we will focus attention on qualifiers. Use qualifiers such as quite, pretty, rather, and some others to make adjectives and verbs less strong. You can do that. So qualifiers will, let's say, precede adjectives, like in the case of quite, pretty, and fairly. And you can say, for instance, these are the examples. This painting is quite, or pretty, or fairly good, okay? Because you will use these qualifiers before both positive and negative adjectives, okay? But we commonly use that with positive adjectives. When we use quiet with an article like a or an plus an adjective plus a noun, we place it before the article. This is a case of, it's quite a good painting, okay? In the case of rather, this qualifier has a similar meaning to quite, but, to quite, but it's slightly stronger. The colors are rather nice. So more than that. It's more than very. Very and quite means the same, more or less. Okay, then we can place it before the indefinite article. Okay, that is, we can place rather before the indefinite article. Is rather a nice painting, or in the case, it's a rather nice painting. Okay, before, or in this second case, after the indefinite article. Okay, then not very or not particularly, we say use not very and not particularly before adjectives to give them the opposite meaning. So we say it wasn't very good. What's the meaning? It was very bad, or at least it was bad. It was not satisfying, yes. Okay, it was really bad. It wasn't particularly impressed. The meaning, I was impressed. Then the qualifier could be with some verbs, okay? Then we use quite, rather, and not particularly with verbs as well. We use quite before the verbs like, enjoy, understand, and agree. We often use quite to mean a bit. I quite liked this exhibition. That is, I like it, but not a lot. Okay? Then you can use quite before the verbs understand and agree to mean completely. And these are the examples. I quite agree with you. That is, I completely agree. Or the case of negative, I don't quite understand what the artist is saying. The meaning, I don't completely understand. Okay? However, we also use quite plus a verb when we are disagreeing with someone, or to show surprise with no change in the meaning of a strength of a verb. For instance, you may say, one person, A, I think the paintings are rather dull. That is stupid. And B can say, actually, I quite like them. That is, I disagree with your opinion, okay? You can also use rather before the verbs like enjoy and hope. And you will say, I rather like the painting. I rather like this painting. I rather like those paintings, okay? We use not particularly before verbs like, enjoy, and hope to give them the opposite meaning. I didn't particularly like the other paintings. That is the meaning, I disliked the other paintings, okay? And we could also use slightly, a little, and a bit as qualifiers. For instance, we say use slightly, a little, a bit, and rather after verbs to mean by a small amount, okay? It's confusing me slightly. It's confusing me a little. It's confusing me a bit, okay? So in those cases, we are modifying the meaning of the other word, okay? Then qualifiers could be your best friend when you are writing or when you are describing something, because they add other, let's say, meaning to what you are expressing, okay? Then qualifiers are often necessary, such as when your evidence or your claim is open to doubt. Okay? In such cases, using a qualifier allows you to present your findings with what we can call confident uncertainty, which reflects a need to be cautious and critical about the data you are presenting. That is, when we say President Trump will probably accept the results of the election, of course, in the United States, it means that we are cautious and critical about the fact that this president is not able to recognize his defeat in the election. Okay, he's finding other, let's say, ideas about what had happened against himself. Okay, but if we say President Trump will accept the results of the election, in those case, in that case, we are certain about that. So notice that the use of probably as a qualifier of the verb accept will modify the meaning of this sentence, okay? But let's see when we are just using intensifiers. Well, to use this, we had to make clear a concept of gradable adjective and ungradable adjectives. That is, two different forms of adjectives, one that we may say in a scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, we rate this adjective, or there are others that are not possible to do that, okay? For instance, the case of, let's say, one word like cold, you could say that cold, right, is in level 1, in level 2, in level 3. That's why we say it's colder than yesterday, okay? But if you refer to an adjective like freezing, the one we have seen in the example, obviously, when you are freezing, you are more than cold, and there is no other possibility. You are feeling that. You are receiving that very cold, let's say, environment inside yourself, okay? Then, intensifying adverbs make a verb, an adjective, or another adverb stronger. With adjectives and adverbs, they go directly in front of the word they intensify. For instance, the design was totally impractical, or the house quite literally shakes when a train goes by. Intensified adverbs sometimes go before and sometimes after the verb. They intensify. For instance, I agree with you completely. That is, I make this meaning stronger than before. I make emphasis in that meaning. I agree with you completely. No question at all. I agree with what you said. Okay? Or I totally understand. In that case, there is no question. I do understand. Okay? We use different adverbs with gradable adjectives and with ungradable adjectives, but the use is different, okay? Gradable adjectives can be measured on a scale, what I said, like small. A room can be more or less small. This one is smaller than the other, and this one is less small than that one, okay? Well, notice that we can't think about that concept, but with ungradable adjectives, we cannot think about the concept of more or less, okay? Then, ungradable or limit adjectives, on the other hand, are not measured on a scale. They express only extreme qualities like empty, wonderful, okay? Those are just given in that way. As with adjectives, verbs can be gradable or ungradable. For example, agree or like, they are gradable. You can agree with someone, all right, or you like something to a small or to a larger degree, okay? When used with ungradable adjectives or verbs, these are, let's say, intensifying adverbs like quiet means extremely. The views were quite incredible. So notice that here, quiet will mean that it's extremely incredible. It's magnificent. It's something out of this world, okay? Now, you will continue practicing this activity. And for this purpose, you have to do the activity number 1 on page 160 to select the correct option, okay? But we also have certain activities here that could be very useful if you practice as well. In fact, some of them could be found in your workbooks, okay? Then, let's see. The first one could be this one, okay? Exercise number 1, write the words in the correct order to make sentences. One sentence has 2 possible answers. Remember that we were analyzing the way in which we had to place the qualifiers and the intensifiers, okay? So we had to analyze which is the right way. We have an example here. The good movie quite was. Obviously, that's not possible when we speak. So we had to change the order of the sentence in the correct structure, you know. That is first the subject, and in the subject you could have some modifiers, it could be, and then the predicate of the sentence, like this one. The movie was quite good. Okay, in this case, we have a good sentence. That's what I wanted to do. We have here in the second, it was quite movie good. In the third, fairly, my grades were exam high. And then you continue up to number 8. I just want you to do this exercise that I am going to check in the classroom, okay? So this one at least will be checked in the classroom. I want all the students to do this in your notebooks and be ready to answer this at random, okay? So I will select some students. The first one will get an extra point in the grammar lesson from unit number 3, okay? But only the first one. So I just want you to be eager to participate. The first one that will raise his or her hand, I will give him or her that extra point, okay? And then we also have other activities that I just want you to enlarge your analysis concerning these grammar structure. Well, the first one could be this one, okay? In which you only have to recognize which is the correct, let's say, qualifier or intensifier. In this case, we are talking about something to, of course, modify an adjective. Studying was a waste of time. The exam was, and then you select according to this adjective, easy. What do you think? Could be gradable or ungradable. If it is gradable, you have to analyze the kind of, let's say, intensifier you are going to use, okay? Then we also have another one. Look, the exam was deeply, highly, or ridiculous. Ridiculously. Deeply, highly, ridiculously. easy. Then in another case, we have, don't talk about politics. It's bitterly, deeply, or highly controversial. Well, you have to think about that. Another case, it's bitterly, highly, or deeply cold in here. Well, it's something that we had practiced at the beginning of this lesson. Then we also have, I love this computer. It's deeply, bitterly, or highly effective. Well, you analyze all those sentences and give us a kind of answer for that. And there is another exercise, extra exercise that you may do to enlarge your knowledge about grammar, in which you have this, let's say, analysis. It's for you to create new sentences. So select two of the pictures in exercise number one, the exercise that I have shown you with pictures to enlarge the knowledge you have about this structure in English, okay? Then you create two sentences about the selected pictures. And of course, you will think about other things that you may include. You will describe in those pictures. You may use a, let's say, a qualifier or an intensifier according to your idea in the sentence you are going to create, okay? And then you will use emphasis or make the word less strong in English. That is, either you could use an intensifier or a qualifier in the sentence, okay? But you have to use them to describe, I don't know, what you are just analyzing, watching, and let's say paying attention to, okay? Well, that's it. That was our grammar lesson for unit number 3. And as we have to describe a lot of things, we are going to be careful when describing things in this unit, because these two things could be useful for studying and also practicing the language, okay? So I'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye, and do all those activities about grammar. Bye. Then I'm going to stop this recording, and of course, we will have more chances to practice in our lesson later. See you.